Welcome back to the second verse of Fall Out Boy's cover of Billy Joel's song We Didn't Start the Fire. If you didn't see the first, it's linked up in the corner and in the description. Like before, this is bare bones explanation on certain events. If you want to know more, you are more than welcome to look it up. A lot of topics are very complex. Fall Out Boy didn't put the events in order, so it does go back and forth a bit, and the song covers events from 1989 to 2023. So some of this you probably know, but I'll keep it in just in case someone has no idea. Well, with all the house cleaning out of the way, let's get into it. More war in Afghanistan. Aside from the wars and the perpetual turmoil in Afghanistan, there was a very notable event in 2021 when the Taliban forcibly took the country in August 2021 when the US pulled out of the country. Since then, the Taliban has installed new laws ever-changing to oppress women, such as only being able to leave the home with a male relative, they must be fully covered, and the recent closure of beauty salons, the last place for Afghani women to make money and have a social outing. There have also been civil rights conflicts still happening with Republican forces fighting against the Taliban and the Afghan-Iranian conflict over Helmand. The Cubs go all the way. In 2016, the Chicago Cubs baseball team won the World Series, breaking a 108-year losing streak. The previous time they won was in 1908. Fall Out Boy themselves are from Chicago suburbs and are big fans of the team. Obama, the beloved former president. He was elected as the 44th president and broke records and headlines as he was the first African American president of the United States. He served 2 consecutive terms from 2009 to 2017. He is still beloved today. Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is an American filmmaker. He's made very famous films such as Jaws, E.T., the Indiana Jones series, Saving Private Ryan, and so many more great films. He's won 3 Academy Awards, 9 Golden Globes, 4 Primetime Emmys, 7 Daytime Emmys, and so many Guild and Film Festival awards. He's an incredibly accomplished filmmaker and the most commercially successful director in history. Oh, and 7 of his films have been inducted into the National Film Registry because they have been considered culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Now that is an accolade. Explosion Lebanon. In August 2020, a warehouse in Lebanon that was storing huge amounts of ammonium nitrate caught fire and exploded. This caused over 200 deaths and 7,000 injuries. This explosion is considered to be the most powerful accidental non-nuclear explosion in history. Unabomber. Between 1978 and 1995, Ted Kaczynski, or as the media would call him, the Unabomber, murdered 3 individuals and injured 23 others by mail bombing. He sent bombs through the mail to people he believed were advancing modern technology to the destruction of the environment. He also wrote a 35,000-word manifesto and social critique opposing industrialization. Bobbitt John. John Wayne Bobbitt and Lorena Bobbitt were married in 1989 and received international press coverage when they made headlines in 1995, when Lorena cut John's penis with a knife while he was asleep, after raping her earlier in the day. Lorena claimed that John had raped her and abused her for years. He was charged with rape but was acquitted and then starred in 2 porn films. Lorena was acquitted of assault by reason of insanity, and she went on to start a foundation for domestic abuse victims and their children. They divorced in 1995 as well. Bombing Boston Marathon. On April 15, 2013, in Boston, at the 117th annual Boston Marathon, the Tarsanev brothers placed 2 homemade pressure cooker bombs near the finish line of the race. They detonated 14 seconds apart and killed 3 people and injured hundreds of others, including 17 who lost limbs. When the brothers were identified by the FBI, they killed an MIT police officer and kidnapped a man in his car. Tamerlan was killed in a shootout where he was shot and then ran over with a car by his brother, Dzhokhar, who was fleeing the scene. His escaped and manhunt ensued. He was found hiding in a boat in his backyard. He was wounded by police and taken into custody. Balloon Boy. So, being a 20-something-year-old, my mind jumped to the character in Five Nights at Freddy's game Balloon Boy. But I doubt this is what Fall Out Boy is referencing, so I believe what they're talking about is an incident in 2009 where a couple sent a helium balloon into the air and claimed that their child was holding onto it. Richard and Mayumi Hine reported that their 6-year-old son was trapped in the air over Colorado. Officers in Adams County and Weld County found the balloon in helicopters until it touched down in a field in Keensburg with no boy. It was revealed later that the boy had hidden in the couple's attic and the couple faked the stunt for publicity. War on Terror. In 2001, after the events of 9/11, George Bush declared war on terror. This war would target terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Middle East, and would be their reason for going into Iraq and Afghanistan to eliminate Saddam Hussein and the Taliban, respectively. The invasions of these countries also served as a message to any enemies that America would not roll over and that they had the backing of the rest of the world. QAnon is an American political conspiracy theory group and political movement. They center around the fabricated claims made by an anonymous person named Q. The core conspiracy theory is that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic child molesters are operating a child sex trafficking ring which conspired against former President Donald Trump during his term in office. Yes, that is real. No, I will not be repeating that. This started with the release of Hillary's emails, thus spurring on Pizzagate, where people noticed odd language in the emails and believed that people were ordering children like pizza with color of hair, age, body. QAnon has been described as a cult or a Nazi cult rebranded. These are extremely anti-Semitic. Their conspiracy theories are insane, like Trump during his presidency had to prevent a coup d'etat by Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and George Soros. They also believe high-ranking government officials, business tycoons, and medical experts are part of a child molester cannibal cult. Trump gets impeached twice, referring to 2019 and 2021. In 2019, he was charged with obstruction of justice and abuse of power with the Trump-Ukraine scandal, and the second impeachment in 2021 was held to one account of indictment of insurrection involving the January 6th Capitol attack. Trump wasn't removed from office after either of these trials, and he was acquitted in the Senate both times, and became the only president to be impeached twice. Polar bears got no ice. Well, global warming is a thing, and the ice caps in the North Pole are melting. Polar bears are dependent on ice as they live on it and hunt on it. Their prey seals, who also live in and around ice, are leaving areas, and polar bears are facing starvation because of it. Fyre Festival. In 2017, Fyre Festival was marketed as a luxury music festival founded by Billy McFarland and rapper Ja Rule. He was promoted as the next Coachella on a tropical island. There was to be 5-star food, accommodations, and fantastic stage performances by big names like Blink-182, Tyga, and Lil Yachty. It was advertised as this huge thing, and people would be flown out on private jets and back. In actuality, they ran out of money long before people showed up on the island. There was no luxury chefs preparing food, nor luxury accommodations. There were barely any toilets and showers for the workers who were on the island already. There was no luxury jet, it was just a commercial airplane. All the people who were supposed to be staying, they ended up staying in tents that mimicked disaster relief shelters, and the food was downright sad. It was just a disaster all around. Black Parade. In 2006, the band My Chemical Romance released their best-selling album, The Black Parade. The lead single on the album was called Welcome to the Black Parade. It was a #1 hit with a music video featuring costumes by fashion designer Colleen Atwood. Michael Phelps. In the 2008 Summer Olympics, the swimmer Michael Phelps broke a record that was made in 1972 and won 8 gold medals in his events. He set new world records for 7 of those events in the process. He also became the only male swimmer to qualify for 5 consecutive Summer Olympic Games. He also created some negative press in 2017 when the Discovery Channel advertised that he was going to race a shark. There was a lot of hype and a lot of people thought it was really cool, and it was a letdown. It was a time trial versus a CGI shark. And well, Y2K. In 1999, computers were everywhere, and many of them were concerned with the calendar dates as everything was starting with a 19. People believed that the computers would be unable to distinguish the dates of it, and it would bring the whole internet down with it once it switched over to the year 2000. Many people said that it was the end of the world. Nothing ended up happening. Most computers just went back to 0000 and had to be changed, and some went with 2000 with no problems at all. Boris Johnson. He was the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He was a controversial figure. Under his leadership, Britain left the European Union. His tenure was filled with tons of scandal, starting with asking a Conservative Party donor for funds to renovate his house. At the same house, he held multiple parties defying corona lockdown mandates, and he was fined by London's police for attending a party on government premises. This made him the first UK premier in history to have broken a law in office. As stated a moment ago, this is the name of the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union on January 31st, 2020. This removed the European Union's laws being placed over British laws. Kanye West and Taylor Swift. This was a pretty big pop culture moment. In 2009, Taylor Swift won the Best Female Video Award at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. As she was accepting it, Kanye ran on stage, grabbed the mic from her, and said that Beyoncé deserved the award instead. He did apologize later, but since then, they haven't exactly been buddies. He took the apology back. Taylor said he didn't have respect for her. You know, it goes back and forth. Stranger Things came out in 2016, set in the 1980s, following a group of friends with a paranormal twist. It became the most watched English language series on Netflix. Tiger King. This was another show on Netflix that gained notoriety for a very different reason. In 2020, it focused on a guy named Joe Exotic who owned an animal park and a bit of his life with the park and his involvement in an assassination attempt of his rival Carole Baskin, and he ended up in jail for it. The show was released in COVID and during lockdown gained a lot of popularity with over 34 million views in 10 days. Both Tiger King and Stranger Things contributed heavily to pop culture during and after their releases. Ever Given Suez. On March 23, 2021, the Ever Given ship ran aground in the Suez Canal and was stuck there for 6 days. The Suez Canal is vital for global trade and completely blocked the canal, disrupting world shipping trade for a few days. That was verse 2 in We Didn't Start the Fire by Fall Out Boy. Stay tuned for verse 3. I think I'm going to combine verse 3 and verse 4, so look out for that. Thank you. If you liked it, like and subscribe.